Hey, so this is Chris. We're back at the Crown Royal 7300E outdoor wood boiler, and we're just doing a little check-in and update. It is November 7th, about 55 degrees today, and so we've been having this running for about 2 weeks now, and it's been an average of about 30 degrees at night, so getting a little chilly. Days have been between 40 and 50, so not too bad during the day. Just want to talk over a couple of challenges that we've had so far and how we've overcome them. And then we're going to check the ash pans for the first time to see how those are looking and give that a little cleaning. So stay tuned. So far, this has heated the home great. Really no troubles at all, which there shouldn't be since it's been so warm. But that's kind of been part of the problem that we've run into is because it's been so warm and the house is fairly insulated, there really hasn't been quite enough demand on some days because this boiler is so efficient. In between cycles, it's shutting that fire down, and so sometimes it struggles getting it started again. One thing that I found the first couple days that we ran it, it was really struggling. I started it probably 2 or 3 times in that period because it was just fairly warm still. The nights weren't getting quite as cold as they are now, and so it just wasn't cycling on enough to keep that flame going well. But I found that after probably 2 or 3 days, we got a good bed of coals in there, and that really helped a lot in keeping that fire going, so when the fan did kick on, it had something to work with. So, you know, if you're just starting out with one of these and you've had that trouble, if it's not really cold out, the house isn't calling a lot, then just wait a few days, keep that fire going, and let that good bed of coals build up, and really I haven't had an issue since then. Here in central Maine, we have about a 2,800 square foot house that we're heating with this. This boiler is slightly oversized. I think it says it's rated for about 5,000 square feet. The plan is in the next year or two we're going to be putting on a garage with some radiant in-floor heat and then some living space above that. And so that's going to kind of, we won't max it out, but we bought it specifically so that way we had a little overhead to do more heating space with that. So we're going to open this front ash door for the first time and see what we got in here that we need to clean out. I do have the switch set to off on the side, so that way the fire, or the fan, doesn't decide to kick on while we're doing this. It's been pretty warm and sunny today, so this really hasn't been on a whole lot, so there's not really a whole lot of fire going on in here at the moment. Wow. That is super clean. All right. Let's see in there. Really not a whole lot on the front side. We'll see when we get in the back to see if there's anything in the back side. This came with this little stick here. I've been using it as a poker stick, but also it's made specifically the right size to pull these ashes. Wow. You can tell just how efficient this is by how little bit of ash this is. Like I say, we've been burning this for 2 weeks straight. And this is just incredible how little bit there is. Using the old trusty shovel from back in the wood stove days in our last house. I think we're good to go there. We'll just do a little bit of cleanup here. Let's put this back together. This is some sort of a heavy cast of something. I'm not exactly sure what it's made of, but I think they call it a blast door. Just kind of keeps the heat away from this door right here, so that way it's not getting hammered with all that heat when the fan's really going. There. Takes care of that. Alright, here we are on the back side of the boiler. So this is exactly opposite of where we just were cleaning out the front side. This door just tips out and kind of lifts off here. All right. Not too thick for 2 weeks, I feel like. I'm sure once things get a little colder around here and we're burning through a bit more wood and there's a little more demand, then this will probably build up a little quicker, but boy, right now, she's pretty clean. Now this little shovel for this little bit of ash is doing the trick. All right. Let's see. A little bit of build up on the door. I'm sure over time we'll have to clean that out a little bit. Set it down back in those little grooves. Push it in. Okay. So this is the top door. This is the last point before it goes up the chimney. And again, as a reminder, we have this fan set to off so that way it won't turn on while we're in here working. So these are called turbulators. They're just steel that spirals down, and there's tubes that go down from, or come up, I guess, from the bottom chamber. And so that just kind of disturbs the air movement and gets everything flowing well. There's a handle on the front that I'll show you later that you just shake back and forth, and this whole thing will just kind of rock back and forth and keep it cleaned out, and then all the smoke just goes right up the chimney. Take a look here. Look at how fine that is. It's really not a lot to it. And just telling you as I think of it here, but probably the better thing to do would be to clean out this top side first, so that way anything that falls down those tubes into the bottom area, those can be cleaned out after. But things to think about for next time. For normal operating mode, this switch is just set to fan, and this is the aquastat, so it's set to 180 degrees, so that means when the water temperature in the water jacket around the boiler gets to 180 degrees, the fan will shut off and suffocate that fire. And it's set for a 10-degree differential, which means that when it gets down to 170 degrees, then that means it's going to kick that fan back on, light the fire up again, and heat that water jacket back up again. When you go to check the firebox to see if you need to load it, or when you do load it, you're going to switch this to either off, and that'll make the fan not run, or you can turn it up to light, and there's a light on the front of the boiler that will kick on, good for late night burning or when you come out here early in the morning to check it. Before you open the door, critical, it's got this load switch time delay, so you push that button and that's going to kick the fan on. I think it kicks it on for about a minute, maybe 90 seconds, and it says right here on the instructions on the side, so you can't mess it up. Push the button, wait 20 seconds, and then you can open that door. If you don't do that, because the fire has been kind of smothered in there in that semi-airtight box, when you open that door, that would let air into that firebox, and there's a chance that that fire could kind of erupt in front of your face, which wouldn't end very well. So we always hit this button, and we'll hear the fan kick on. All right, that fan's been on for a little while. Crack this door open. It's been pretty sunny today, so I don't think this has been burning a whole lot. So as you can see, not a lot happening. We got a little bit of smoldering, Well, like I said, we have had very little demand today because it's been so warm. But I'm sure if you gave this a few minutes of that fan running when it calls for heat, then they would light that fire right back up. One of the things we were slightly concerned about when we first started burning this is we started seeing all this peeling happening, and I didn't know if it was creosote building up or if it was some sort of, defect in the original manufacturing. But I did reach out to my installer, and he said, no, that's just a protective paint finish that they put on there at the factory, and it's kind of made to burn off. At some point here, I'm sure I'll just kind of scrape all this off so it stops peeling. But I've seen a few other guys with different type of boilers, and it looks like they have a similar thing going on. So my guess is that that's just a normal thing for all these boilers. They put that protective paint or protective coating on there, and it's just made to peel off. So in case anybody's worried when they first start these up, why is your boiler falling apart? It's not. It's just made to do that. I think one thing I haven't gone over here is this has a water gauge. So that's for the water jacket. So if that goes, too low, then inside there's a valve that I open up, and that will fill that water tank up. It kind of fluctuates when the water temperature rises. That water level rises too, just because I guess the water is expanding. But yeah, so that's a nice indicator there to let you know when you need to fill that up with water. Well, I guess that about wraps up our, cleaning and inspection of all the ash areas and making sure everything's staying clean, nothing's getting clogged up. And so far, I'm pretty impressed with how minimal ash it's pulled out. Overall, in the 3 spots that I pulled it out, I only got about a quarter of the ash buckets for a wood stove. Only about a quarter a bucket of that. So that's pretty decent for, the amount of wood that we put through this in the last 2 weeks. It's daylight savings time here in Maine, and so even though it's only almost about 4 o'clock, the sun's going down, and guess we're going to have to wrap this up for this week, but we'll come back in a little while and give you another update and let you know how it's going. So hit that subscribe button, hit the like button, and make sure your notifications are on so that way we can keep you updated through this process. If you already have a boiler or if you're interested in getting a wood boiler, then this is going to be some good information. A lot of this stuff is questions that we had before we started this process, and so as we work those out and we come up with answers, we'll share them with you, so that way maybe you'll have a good resource if you decide to get one of these Crown Royal stoves. It'll give you a little more insight before you get it. You'll know what to expect. So have a great week, guys, and we'll see you on the next one.